Production builders' primary goal is to sell you a house as quickly and for as much profit as possible. And although a lot of home builders here in Houston are transparent and reputable, there are specific things that they are not going to disclose to you unless you ask. Hello, I'm Danielle. I'm a realtor in Northwest Houston. If you are moving here and would like assistance, feel free to message me. I would love to help you out. Number one is the developments and projects in and around that community that will affect the resale value of your home. A perfect example of this would be Dunham Point in Cypress, Texas. This luxury master plan community started about 2 years ago. They have a lot of upper tier builders, large luxury lots, and they have a lot of potential for commercial development in the area. But there's just this one little small detail that they don't really disclose a whole lot. And that little small detail is a high-speed train. There has been a proposed high-speed train that will go from Dallas to Houston. And although this train has been in the works for many years and nothing has happened yet, currently the proposed route goes straight through that community. Now, of course, proposed routes can change. It's just a proposed route. But as it stands right now, that community will have a high-speed train going through it if that train comes to fruition. Now, of course, a lot of things can change. This is just a proposal, but if I were building a home, I would want to know that there's a chance that a high-speed train could go under, over, or right next to my house. Another example of this would be when large master plan communities buy massive amounts of land, but there are some plots within that land that might be privately owned or owned by another developer, and they have no control over what's going to happen to that land. An example of this would be in Ellison. Ellison has a ton of land that they have purchased. However, there are some random lots within Ellison that are not owned by the developer, and they are unsure of what the owner of that land will eventually do. Now, in the grand scheme of things, in a large master plan community like that, it's probably not a big deal, but it would be a big deal to me if my home or the section I was building in was right next to that land. Generally, most home builders, if it's not in their section or their lot, they're just going to tell you they're not sure what's going to happen with that land. So it's up to you to do your due diligence and research not only the section and lot that you are purchasing, but everything around that area as well. Number two is home builders are always going to present a level of urgency. We have more new construction than anyone in the nation. The amount of home builders we have and the communities and the permits and the space we have to continue building seems like it is unlimited. Typically, when you start shopping in the model home parks, these builders are well aware that you're going to talk to 10 other builders. And so their goal is to make you sign as soon as possible, but they're going to pressure you a lot to get you to sign a contract with them. Do not feel pressured to make a decision right then and there. Make sure you do all your research, visit all the builders, do all your research before you make a decision, because you could regret it if you don't. Number three is they're going to gloss over all the extra expenses when it comes to buying into a master plan community. I cannot count the number of times that I've been part of a new master plan community Facebook group where somebody buys a new construction home and then a year or two later they are shocked by the property tax prices, the HOA fees, just all these expenses that they should have researched beforehand, that they are caught off guard once the bills come. Although home builders will tell you the general information about the HOAs and the property taxes, they're not going to go into a lot of detail or tell you the additional fees that come with these things. A great example of this is HOA fees. Here in Houston, it's not uncommon for our master plan communities to have a foundation or founder's fees. So when you go to resell your home, you have to give a small percentage of the sales price back to the developer to go into the development of the community. Although if you're building in a master plan community, it's really hard to get around these fees, you still want to know what you're getting yourself into and how much those fees are before you sign a contract and commit to this community. Same with property taxes. Usually the newer the development and the newer the house, the higher the property tax is going to be for some time. Number four is you are not represented. There's a big misconception on whether you need to use a realtor or not when building a new construction home. And if you're coming from out of state to an unfamiliar market, especially one like Houston, where we have over 50 home builders and over 65 new home communities that you can build in, it would be in your best interest to find someone who specializes in this to be able to help you through the entire process. Although the home builder and the sales agent do play a major role in building your new construction home, because the contract is written by them and the construction manager is the one who's going to be building your house, there's a lot of things around the transaction as well as around the research that they are not going to help you with. Now, there's a lot of things that you need to consider beyond the home build when purchasing a new construction home. A lot of the things on this list, as well as a lot of things throughout the process. Number 5 is the quality of the development. Just like I often talk about the different tiers of builders here in Houston, there are also developments and communities that range in different tiers on what you can expect within the community. Every builder or community that you're going to talk to is going to tell you that they are the best. And while that's true, if you were comparing two master plan communities that seem fairly close to each other, but one is significantly less than the other, it usually has to do with the development as well as the tiers of builders within that development. And you want to be careful on who you're choosing and researching, because the future of your resale depends on this. If you're going to a community that's not going to have a high appreciation in the future, it's going to impact you. And number 6 is the long-term goals of the development. When you go to these home builders, they are going to sell you the future of the community like it is happening tomorrow. And the truth is when you are buying into these promises and developments, they can change. The developer can sell the land, the developer can change their mind. Anything could happen, because the bottom line is the developer owns the land and has control over it. Perfect example of this would be Sonterra in Katy, Texas. When this community opened about 3 years ago, all the home builders were promising that, and the developer were promising that the Crystal Lagoon would be built within the first year. Here we are 3 years later, and it's still maybe a year or two out, and home builders are still continuing to say that it is on time. There's also been a lot of changes with that development, in which the plans that they originally had are completely different now. So when you're buying into a development and a builder, you have to go in with an open mind that they're going to sell you something and that might not actually happen. They're also not going to disclose things like rezoning of schools. Of course, this naturally happens when there's more population in the area, more communities coming, the districts eventually have to do rezoning. But if a home builder knows about it and that there's a possibility that the school they are selling might change, they're not going to disclose that or make a big deal about it. So this is the type of research that you have to do before you commit to a community or home builder. And number 7 is negotiation and incentives. Truth is that if the builder is offering incentives, it's to benefit the builder. They're not going to give you all of this unless it benefits them and they're making money somehow. And that's very true with incentives. A lot of times these incentives are trapping you into having to use their lender and their in-house representatives, which in turn makes them more money, and it's not always in the best interest of you. So I would highly encourage whatever incentives or lending incentives you're looking at, that you read the fine print, you do your research, and you look at the long and short-term goals, because typically home builders are offering you incentives for the immediate time frame, but not for the long term of the loan. Same with negotiation. There are some home builders that are more open to negotiating than others. However, there are a lot of things that you can talk about and discuss with the home builder that would benefit you that they're not going to disclose with you. These are things like using your own lender, using your own title company, things that might actually save you money if you don't use the home builder's recommended lenders. If you liked this information, please like and subscribe, as it lets the algorithm know it's good information. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.